getting an error message. It says an error occurred. Please try again later. Okay. Okay. Please try again later. Okay. I see that. I just refreshed Dell. Stand by, folks. We're trying to work this out, and it appears that we have it worked out. I don't know what happened. I just refreshed the page, and it's working. This is pjnet.tv. I'm Coach Prasick. Dell Didway is in the green room in some, undisclosed location somewhere. Let's find out where Dell is and what he's doing. We'll bring him on the screen. Dell, Ben Cooper was on the previous program, and he said that you are, without challenge, the most busy person on the planet. Do you concur?
No, no. It just seems like that. So I'm I'm just I'm busy, but yeah, I'm not that busy. So
Well, he was talking
well,
about retirement. Is that anywhere on your radar?
oh yeah, yeah. I plan to retire. Hopefully, hopefully within 5 or 6, 7 years. Hopefully, and then just kind of just take it, just go off the grid. Just
I'll believe that when I see it.
yeah,
Well, you
yeah.
do. Let's think about all the volunteer work that you do.
Eh,
You do your fair share.
we do some, yeah. Like talk about that, but we do some. My wife's involved in Kiwanis, very active in that. I'm, we have the kennel drive coming up for Salvation Army soon to help try to raise money for that for Salvation Army. We enjoy that, and then that's two of the biggest charities we work with, so that's always good.
Well, and then you've got your what does Tim Tebow call that night out? What's it called?
Tonight to shine, yeah. Hopefully that'll get back up again this year. We hope in person. We always like going at an event, and it's at a church in Huntington, West Virginia. So we hope to get back to. We hope it's open. Last year they did a drive-in, and you really can't do anything with that. So we just
Mm-hmm.
kind of didn't do anything. So hopefully they'll be back in full swing this year. That'll be in, I think it's in February, I believe. They have it every year, February or March, I forget. So hopefully we'll be able to go to that this year.
Now I know that you were involved, but I don't remember how many people were involved as volunteers at that Night to Shine event.
I think there was like 400
Gee
volunteers.
whiz!
I know somewhere that number jumps out at me. I think 400 ish, um, from everything to what we did, shoe shines and um, hair makeup and yeah, it was a big undertaking. And I think there was uh, like 300 or so participants in the event. So a lot of volunteers, but a lot of donations too. It's a great event. We hope to get um, back there this year. So that's the plan.
Well, and you've done a lot of work in the pro-life movement.
Mm. Yeah, I've done in the past. My wife does more of that now. She spoke recently at a Cradle event, a little March for Life, and so we've done a lot with that over the years. And I was on the board of Higher Rights Life for some time. So, um, but yeah, we do a lot of that. Try to we don't do enough, but there's never enough. So it's just important to do something.
Well, the pro-life issue and some of the organizations are, well, they're trying to regroup now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. What does the Ohio Right to Life group do now?
Well, now it's hopefully back where it should be, and that's with the states. So it's still going to be a state decisions. So there's still a lot of legislation that impacts the state. I know I haven't didn't really get up to snuff on it for this, but I know there's several legislative items coming down the pike to that deal with pro life, and if it's pushed back to the states for their responsibility, then it'll probably be even more issues going on at the state level because that's where it should. Well, it shouldn't be in government, but it is. So if it's to be in government, it should be at the state level.
Right, but that does open a new can of worms because, and you win one battle, but now 50 more. You cut the head off the snake, and 50 more grow back in its place.
Yeah. So hopefully, we in Ohio we have a pro life governor, pro life Senate, and pro life House. So been very successful. They've been very successful in getting all pro life legislation passed without any qualms, except when it goes, then the court will
Mm-hmm.
sometimes step in and rule against it. So there's always something to be doing. I don't think Roe v. Wade being overturned, it does not have, people think it's ending abortions, and that, J.D. Vance, who's running for Senate, is going to sign legislation that'll make it a nationwide ban. That's just that's just lying. That's all the left is doing, is lying about that. Yeah, my wife just texted me the heartbeat bill was suspended in court right now. Heartbeat bill was passed. In fact, we were on the floor when that passed. The Senate, the heartbeat bill was, and now it's tied up in court. So it's always going to be something going on at the state level.
Now, I forgot to ask you. I see from the background that you're not in your office, so I take it you're on the
Yeah,
road. What's your schedule look like?
yeah. I'm in the Cleveland area this week, heading back home towards the end of the week, and just doing some visits and visiting people and trying to get some stuff done in the evening. But I'm up here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I was in here last night for the Monday night football game. I guess you call it a game, but I was here. I was there for that. It was a pretty bad game if you're a Bengals fan, and a fantastic game if you're a Browns fan. So
Oh goodness. So is Friday Night Lights done for the year? Was last Friday your
no,
last gig?
I've got a playoff game coming up this Friday, and don't know after that. Who knows? It just depends on how many teams we have left. There were four of us out last week and doing the games, and it's a lot of fun. The playoffs, and we lost a couple of teams, and I think we've got four games this Friday night, and we'll probably lose two of them. One I'm going to guess. I mean, I hope they all win, but realistically, you look at the odds of it, and you know, in pros, typically you go with typically it goes how it's supposed to go, but not all the time, but typically. But high school, it typically goes as is. There's rarely an upset at a high school football game unless it's number one against number two, and that's not really an upset. But when it's number 16 going against number four, then chances are four is going to win. So
Yeah, and that's how they do it. They weight it so that if did well during the season, you have
right,
less of a challenge in that first or second round of
exactly.
playoffs, just in case. But it gives the underdog a chance to
A
pull off an
chance,
upset. Uh,
yeah.
Makes it
Rarely
interesting.
happens, but it
I
does happen.
like I like championship games because it illustrates the mental part of the game.
Yeah.
Because if you made it to the playoffs, chances are both teams are pretty good.
Mhm.
Chances are, especially later on, they're relatively evenly matched. And my take on a playoff game, you don't win those so much as you lose them. Both teams are good. It usually gets down to who makes the mistakes and who capitalizes on mistakes that are made. And of course, the best thing to do is cause some
Yeah,
mistakes.
yeah.
That's
But yeah,
uh,
so we've got a game Friday night, and hopefully it continues. It's always fun. So, but I don't look forward to keep going after this week for me at least. Um, we'll have our A and B teams out there, and I think I'm on the D or E or F team. So we'll see how that goes.
well, it's November now, and
Mhm.
I did post. I put two books up here, but you've
Mhm.
actually got four books
Yeah,
coming out. So you're about to start a whirlwind tour. I mean, you are like your life is like being in a blender. I think.
yeah, it feels like that sometimes, but it's getting chopped up all the time. But it's fun. In fact, I was on the phone today finalizing some plans, and we are going to be able to pull that off down in Tallahassee on November 25th, which is Black Friday. will be at the Seminole Sports Store, the most popular sports store there, and on Florida State's campus, and doing a book signing from. We don't have the time yet, but I think probably noon to 3 on on Black Friday.
Isn't that the store
And
inside the stadium itself?
well, there are two stores. We're not going to do the one inside the stadium. We
Oh.
talked to the manager about that, and he said the best store that gets the most traction is their newer one on campus. And he
Hmm.
said it'll be flooded that day. He said I can do the store down within the stadium, but he said he doesn't think traffic will be as good. People are going to be going there to watch a ball game, not buy books. I said that you're right, and he said there'll probably be a little bit of drinking going on. He
You
said it'll
reckon?
probably be more of a festive atmosphere. Then he said a little bit up the ways on campus is the news store, and he said it gets a lot of traffic, and he says there'll be a lot of traffic that day, being Black Friday on campus, the day of the game. So we're going to do that store. It's still the Seminole Sports Shop, and we're going to do that from I think probably noon to 3, and then we're going to hightail it out of town and have my escort. We're going to go up to Tuscaloosa uh, for the next day for the Iron Bowl at the Barnes and Noble on campus on Alabama's campus
Okay, folks,
for
for
the
those of
signing.
you who are living under a rock, the Iron Bowl is Auburn in Alabama.
Yes, so we're going up for that game on Saturday. We don't know what time that game starts. We think it might be a 3:30 kickoff. We're not sure yet, but we'll probably do it at maybe 10 to 12, 10 to 1, something like that, and then head up to Nashville for the Bengals Titans game on Sunday. So
So you're
that'll be pretty
doing,
cool.
you'll be in Tallahassee on Friday.
So yeah, I'm gonna leave.
To,
I'm gonna leave on Thanksgiving and drive and stay at the Hotel Prasic on Thursday night, and then I'm gonna go up to Tuscaloosa on Saturday and stay at the Snyder Airbnb, one of my clients, and then
mhm.
go up to Nashville. And I'm not sure I'll stay with you there yet.
Yeah.
So
Well, I sent some pictures of the stateroom
yeah, I got it.
that that you'll be staying in, and you'll be able. Put it this way, you'll be tired enough after that drive. You could probably sleep on a concrete
Yeah,
floor
as
at
long as you
that
have
point.
coffee, I'm good.
It's got a coffee maker. It's got a Keurig, so we'll
If
you
there's
know
the Denny's closed, we're good. We're in good shape.
well, there is a Denny's in Tallahassee, but
I'll find it.
it'll be a little crazy on that particular day. But you're a little
Yeah,
crazy too. But we
maybe
do
not
have
that morning. Maybe not that morning.
no. If you
We'll
get out
see.
early enough, it'll be
I bet,
fine.
I don't know if I don't think game day will be there. Game day will probably be in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. I'm gonna guess it won't be there Friday night, but still, it's a primetime game. Be a lot of hype going on.
I'm trying to remember the highlight, the key point of the Gators game. I think it was the Gators. 5 turnovers in 1 quarter. Was that? Do I have the right team?
Yeah,
How do
yeah,
you
that's
how do you have 5 turnovers in one game?
I don't know. Well, Bengals did recently. They had yeah, the Bengals had 4 interceptions and a fumble the first game.
Um,
They get
but
paid for that.
well, people can place bets on it. They'll bet on anything. But I know this, as with any rivalry, uh,
Hmm?
you don't know who's going to win that game. It doesn't matter what the season was like until that point. When it
You're
comes to
right.
a rivalry, either team could win. And again, I think this underscores the emotional part of the game.
Mhm.
In the playoffs, you see the pressure and how it affects teams. And
Yeah,
good teams that have played very well, you shouldn't see a playoff game go, 47-12. You shouldn't see
right,
that. But it
right.
happens, and it just shows the emotional, the mental
Yeah,
part of the game.
I mean rivalries. Like for example, Florida State could be ranked number one, and Florida could be not even ranked,
Hmm.
and they could come in and win because that makes their season. To knock somebody off like that. So
Well, and for
rivalry
the
games, you throw all that stuff out the door, especially the Ohio State Michigan game and Auburn Alabama and Florida State games.
for a lot of coaches, that end of the season rivalry game is live or die for their career at that school.
Yeah, a great case in point there was Coach Cooper with the Buckeyes. Had a fantastic career as far as Ohio State was concerned, but was 1-9 with with Michigan and got fired. Even though
Mm.
he won Big Ten conferences and several other accolades, he couldn't beat Michigan, so he ended up getting fired over that.
Well,
So
and some coaches are hanging on, by the skin of their teeth. But if they can win that rivalry game, that'll give them a reprieve a little bit until next year.
yes,
But I hate what's happened. There's a trend. I guess it's a trend. They're actually firing coaches before the season's over now in college, and
in
I
college they
just
are.
think,
Yeah, that's tough. And pros is fine, but there has been some in colleges, and again, I don't think there has been on the uptake, but it just proves that it is a business. People think it's amateur sports, but it is a full fledged business. Brings in the money for all the other departments, so it is a moneymaker. It is a business, and higher education goes out the door there.
well, and the irony is, of course, uh, as soon as the season is over, it is fruit basket turnover, or what do they call that? Revolving doors. And the funny thing to me, Dell, is that there's so many coaches get fired, so there's a lot of vacancies. Well,
Yeah.
typically, who's available to fill the vacancies? Well, a coach has been fired somewhere else.
Yeah, or else they'll go openly recruit, but they can't talk to them until after the season's over and things like that. So
Yeah.
there's always ways around it. I know there's a lot of talk right now about Deion Sanders moving up because he's turned Jackson State around. So we'll see what happens there with
Well,
him.
and he's ready now. I think earlier he might not have been, but I think now he's got the years, some experience under his belt that I think qualifies him for the next level. And
And he likes that limelight, so he's liable to get
you
a big.
reckon?
I can see, yeah, I can see him either going to Florida State eventually. If I don't, I think they're fine now, but I can also see him going to like a Notre Dame, who has brought in with all the hype, and then they just had a dismal season, and which is fine
Mm-hmm.
with me. I
Yeah.
don't really like Notre Dame. But no, we're looking forward to that here in a couple of weeks, coming down there and on Black Friday and Thanksgiving weekend. I know it's Thanksgiving for me, but how often I was talking to my publisher today. How often does the stars line up to where you have a game on Friday night, a game on a Saturday afternoon, and you're launching books with them? That just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you take advantage of it, and I think it'd be a fun little drive. I hope my wife goes with me, but down to Tallahassee on Thanksgiving Day. I think it'd be a fun drive. It'd be a fun
Well, how
venture. I
about
mean,
Andy and Bethany?
Andy May. I reached out to Andy. He said, "Let him know Bethany's a no go. She's up in Virginia. She cannot make it down for that." Andy might. I tried to call him today, couldn't get him, but I don't. He's a pastor. He's a family man. It's
Yeah,
Thanksgiving. I get it if he can't. I mean, I understand that. So,
I
but
would be surprised if he did, honestly. But
I would
um,
too. But I'm gonna throw it out there to him. He can. He's welcome to, obviously, to make that drive for, like I said, 3 hours. But I think it'd be a fun adventure. I mean,
it's more it's
I
more
think
than 3 hours.
I mean, the 3 hour signing. I mean, the 3 hours at the store.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I've made that
Yeah,
trip to his church, and it's
for
pretty long.
me, I think I'm looking at about 11 hours on the road, 10, 11 hours to Tallahassee.
Uh, Good luck on that.
Yeah. So,
One thing that an observation that I've made over the years, and it happened in my own life. Sometimes we think of an opportunity and we think of a person and we say to ourselves, "No, they can't," or "They won't want to do that."
right.
I missed out on an opportunity one time, and the person organizing it was a disaster relief ministry at Ground Zero at the World
Hmm.
Trade Center. And we were talking later, the guy in charge, and he said, I knew you probably couldn't go, so I didn't. I said, well, let's make a covenant. Next time, let me say no
Yeah, exactly.
from now on. So, folks, and I just had a situation. I'm traveling. PJ Net is actually traveling Saturday to Montgomery, Alabama, to hold a prayer vigil. We're not the sponsor of it. We're there managing the stage and filming and that kind of thing. But that's a long drive for me, and it's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to take someone with me because we've got to set up. We've only got a 2 hour window to set up. I won't go into all the logistical problems, but there are many. But a friend of mine, I called him, fully expecting him to say no, he could not. But he
Yeah.
just called me today and said he will. And
Awesome.
that'll be a big relief because it's hard to set up the gear and the way the parking works. Dell, I've got all this expensive gear in my vehicle, and it's 100 yards away from where we set it up. So you take some of the gear, move it to the stage place. Well, I don't want that gear unattended while I'm making trips back and forth. Just to have someone to look over it, just to stand there and make sure it doesn't disappear will be a big relief. But it's something I wanted to toss out there. Don't say no for people. When the idea pops in your head, consider for a moment that might be the Lord trying to share something, and don't
Yeah.
don't say no for other people. Let them say no.
Exactly.
And who knows, they might well say no, but I think they would appreciate the offer.
Yeah. So we're definitely looking forward to that. I think it'll be a fun adventure. I've never done this before. Again, how many times does the four teams play each other within a couple of hours, 2 days within 12 hours of each other?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's an opportunity to say why not, and then I'll run up to Nashville on Sunday and watch the Bengals and Titans play just to relax. So I'll go from Tallahassee to Tuscaloosa to Nashville to home. So I think it sounds like a fun trip for me.
Exactly how many states will you go through? That sounds like about 8.
Yeah, yeah. Ohio, Kentucky,
Virginia
uh,
or West Virginia, maybe both.
yeah.
Georgia,
I'm not
Florida,
Georgia. Yeah,
Alabama, Tennessee.
let's see, Kentucky, Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
So
you're going and you have you. I wonder how many. You better get your oil changed no matter what before you
I
leave.
know. Yeah. Well, yeah. I look at that. So the car I've got, I questioned him. I changed my oil about 3 months ago. And I said, "So when should I have it back in?" He goes, "A year." He said, "You don't get this thing changed for a year." And I said, "Really? Okay, it's fine."
I don't trust any oil
Well,
filter for a year.
I know, but that's what he told me. So,
I've seen those things too. I used to work at AutoZone, and they sold this
well,
stuff. It's like, well, the oil may last that long, but your oil filter won't.
well,
So,
well, yeah. So I'm gonna talk to him. I got a couple of weeks to play with because it's not till the end of the month, but
yeah.
we'll be on before that. So that'll be November. So if anybody's down going to the Florida State game on November 25th, Black Friday, come by the Seminole Sports Store. And then if you're going to Iron Bowl on Saturday, come by the Barnes and Noble on campus. And we sent stuff today to get some posters made and some flyers made out. It'll be fun.
So, how, I know you can't really predict, but how many books do you think you'll be signing over that weekend?
No, I could. I talk. I don't know. I could do two, or I could do 100. I have no idea. I think there'll be. I think on Black Friday in that sports store. I think they'll move. Um, and it just depends. I think
I remember one
parents come
book
in.
signing you was doing. It was questionable whether the books would be there. It was,
I've been there before. Yeah, I think every author's had that moment show up and the books aren't there. So that's happened. That's happened to me. It's happened to Michelle. It's had people make mistakes. It does happen. Or
how many
miscommunication.
do you have on hand if you had to take some with you?
I just got them. They came this week. Actually, I've got about 30 of each
Hmm.
if I need to. So I might take some in the car with me just in
Yeah,
case. But
yeah.
I think
Take
the
your
stores are going to order probably 50 of each. I'm going to guess. So if I do
yeah,
50, I'll be thrilled.
yeah.
I
Well,
think. I think.
especially in what 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. I'm thinking noon to 3 on Friday would be a good time.
Well, that's 180 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did 50 books, that would be one about every 3 minutes.
We just did a book signing down in Lexington, Kentucky with my friend John. We did Kentucky Passion. It was a book festival, so a lot of authors there signing. but I think we did, I think 30 uh, off and on. So we had a good time though.
So when you do it at a store, what do they do? Just set up a little table, and do they have all that? Do they take care of all that?
Yeah, well, yeah, they'll order the books. They'll have them there ready, and they give you a little place you sit, and there's some posters advertising up, and then when the people come in, you just start talking to them, and you don't just sit there like about some authors just sit there. No, you engage the customers, even if they're not walking by you and looking at you. You engage them, and most of the time, if they'll start talking to you and they like something, then they're probably going to get them to say, hey, you're here today. Obviously, you're a fan of one of the two schools, right? So you start talking about things, and
Yeah, and on game day they'll be wearing their colors. You'll know.
so yeah, and then we're going to try to think up some games or something to do with you buy two Florida State books, so I'll give you a Florida book to tear up or something. I don't know, something
For the fireplace.
something going on, Well, we'll have fun with it.
Well, Dell, the good news is if you're on the road this week, you get an extra hour of sleep Saturday night.
Is that this weekend? Okay, good. Because yeah, I've got a late game Friday night. I got about a 3 hour drive after my game Friday night. So if it ends at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm here about 1 o'clock in the morning. So
Well, I'm counting on that hour because I'll be in Alabama,
yeah,
and that's the next time zone over. So I
right.
lose
Yeah,
an hour return on the return trip. I gain an hour on the way
right,
there, but that's not the important one. The important one's on the way back
right.
because you got to get to bed. But the
Well, that's
clock's
this
changed,
weekend.
so I actually get to redeem that hour,
Yeah.
and it's going to work out. So, all right, well,
So
we're
that's
looking forward to it. Well, Dell, we'll have at least one more program prior to all of
yeah.
that happening, and
Well, good.
we'll get an
Step into
update then.
the coveted PJNet Studios here in a couple of weeks. That'll be fun.
Well,
Get
you
to
if you're
trail
not
forward.
dead tired, you can. We're totally remodeling everything, top down redo.
I got to talk about like dressing room or something like that down there.
Yeah, so you'll be one of the three people that have been in here.
All right. All righty.
So, all right, well, Dale, appreciate you sharing with us tonight. Good luck, and we'll see you about this time in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
All right, beautiful. Dell Didway here on PJNet.tv. What an he's he's living the dream. Are do you wish you were more busy, or do you wish you didn't have as much to do? I hope you wish you were more busy. And Dell is an inspiration. If busyness is on your radar, Dell's the man to look at. Okay, if he can manage it, you can too. And I think that after what Ben said about retirement, I think we as Christians need to be conscious of our time. We always talk about tithing, or when that's brought up, we typically think of money, and that's certainly a part of it. But tithing is not just giving; it's living. It's living for the kingdom of Christ, giving all of yourself and those first fruits. Anyway, well, folks, that wraps it up. We are continuing the remodel and continuing to get ready to take PJNet on the road to Montgomery, Alabama Saturday. I'll be doing that late tonight, so if you're lonesome and need to talk to somebody, I'll be around. Give me a call. And if you don't do that, do this. Ask yourself two questions. Here's the first one. What is the boldest thing that you have ever done in the kingdom of Christ? And second, when was that? The challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.